The map is not the territory. And it's interesting how what we see, what we hear, what we feel, feels so real. Because it is, isn't it? And yet sometimes it's not the whole truth. It's a truth, a part of it. A version of what could be true from a certain angle, through a certain lens, from the position you're standing in right now. But when you move just a little, when you shift perspective, suddenly you see something else. Almost as if a curtain has been pulled back and revealed something that was there all along, waiting to be noticed. It's like a map, a beautifully drawn map, filled with details and lines and symbols, showing you where to go, and yet it's still just a map, not the place itself. The map tells you one version of reality, a useful one perhaps, but if you imagine yourself standing in the place it describes, you know there's more than what that map could ever show. And you've done this before, haven't you? You've had moments where you're so sure of something, so certain, only to later discover something new. Some new insight, a fresh perspective, and it shifted everything. It's funny how that works, isn't it? One moment you're convinced, you know exactly what's happening, and then suddenly you take a step back, zoom out, and the bigger picture emerges clearer and brighter than it ever was. Almost as if you've been holding a puzzle piece, thinking it was the whole picture. But now you see how it fits into something much bigger, and it feels so obvious once you see it, doesn't it? And what if, just for a moment, you imagined how many times in your future you might do this again? What if you started to realise how flexible your mind could become? How curious, how open to discovering even more perspectives? It's a little like climbing a mountain, standing at the base. You look up, and the mountain seems massive, intimidating maybe. You see the path ahead, winding and uncertain, and you're sure that's all there is, but then you take a step and another. And as you climb, the view changes the higher you go, the more you see. That same mountain that once seemed so overwhelming becomes part of the landscape, a vast, beautiful world full of possibilities that weren't visible from below. And isn't that how life works too? What once seemed like the only way to look at something, it revealed itself as just one perspective, just one interpretation among many. Now imagine how powerful that can be. Imagine what it means to know that every situation, every challenge, every experience can be viewed from multiple angles, each one holding a new truth, a different piece of the puzzle. And as you realise this, you might notice a shift inside, a growing sense of curiosity, because once you've experienced that feeling, that sense of discovery, you can't help want to explore it more and more, and more. It's like holding a kaleidoscope. At first you see one pattern, colourful and intricate, and it feels complete. But then you turn it just a little, and the patterns shift, revealing something new, something equally beautiful, yet entirely different. And the more you turn it, the more you realise how endless the possibilities are. The more you turn it, the more you understand that every turn brings a new way of seeing, a new way of knowing. And maybe, just maybe, this is the perfect time to begin seeing the world that way, to become aware of how easily you can shift perspectives, how naturally you can step back and notice the bigger picture. And isn't it comforting to know that you can choose? No matter where you are or what's happening, you can step outside of that old way of thinking and open yourself to something broader, something richer, something more true. After all, the map is not the territory. The map shows you one way to see the world, and yet the world itself is far more expansive, more flexible, more alive than any map could ever capture. Once you know that, once you truly know that, everything changes, because you're more than any map. You're the explorer, the one who gets to choose how to see things, how to move through life, how to understand the world around you. And isn't it nice to know there's always another perspective, just waiting for you to discover it? The map